remember this. This was years ago, back when you were in New England for the summer, clearing out your dad's place after he died. We were talking one night over Skype. I was in Madison, if I remember right. You were on your childhood bed in your childhood room, propped up by dusty, stuffed toys, taking these long, meditative hits from your dad's old pipe. And during these lulls in conversation, wisps of pixelated, low bitrate jazz would waft in from the kitchen, where his records were kept in permanent rotation. You told me that for a while now, whenever the sun went down, you'd taken to keeping the places dark and familiar and welcoming as you could, drifting from room to room by candlelight, peering through the hallway mirror into the shadows over your reflection's shoulder, hoping to be haunted.
I never believed in ghosts. I mean, that said, whenever the train passes your flat, even today I still look up to see if you're there, perched Muppet-like at the upper floor window, waving wildly down at a train full of strangers because you know I'm in among them somewhere, even though you haven't been there for 6 years. I'm reminded of something that I overheard once at a philosophy department function back in 2008, it must have been. Two professors discussing a theory that I have never been able to place, that our memories and our thoughts and our emotions can be argued to inhabit physical space, that we shed them in our wake, like footprints in fresh concrete, and they stay precisely where we leave them, waiting for us to come by this way again someday, retrace them, resurrect them in a way. And I might be wrong, but I think that's what's happening here. That bittersweet image of you at the upper floor window, smiling, waving, is effectively the first stop on this train's route. The tracks pass directly through this memory, these thoughts, these emotions, on the way to Ardrossan Harbour, from Glasgow Central to catch the 6 o'clock ferry. And today, especially, it is a welcome distraction because I am going home for Christmas. For the first since my dad died. And that big old converted hotel by the sea that I grew up in, that I spent 31 consecutive Christmases in without fail, sometimes with my grandparents, sometimes with my aunt and uncle, twice with you, but always at the very least my mum, my dad and I. That house is going to have just 2 people in it for Christmas, for the first time since I've been alive. 2 people tracking mud through the hallways, trundling along as if on rails, with no choice but to retrace footprints in the carpet from a long time ago, some decades old, and in doing so, pass through memory after thought, after cold, grey emotion, I don't know. Like 100,000 unwelcome guests, crammed into the narrow corridors of our dark hotel by the sea. As I said, I don't believe in ghosts, but that doesn't matter, really. I don't think you did either. I think I'm about to find out what it actually feels like to be haunted. We walked up into the field. We crawled up out of the ocean. Vast machines with crudded up gears. Blocks of granite buzzing with motion. We walked up into the field. We carried you low in our bellies. Sometimes a day seems to tick on for years. Sometimes the sun sets early. We walked up into the field. We gathered around and around and around. Some places are graves that just haven't been dug. Some places are churches that just haven't been found. And we walked up into the field. We carried you high on our shoulders. Some plots were reserved from the beginning of time. Some feel a little bit older. We crawl up out of the ocean, an army of lichen moss, to see the stone being rolled into place. 2 centurions guarding the cross. Of course, we are great galaxies with spiraling arms, but some people are a little bit bigger. We walked up into the field. Somehow we carried you, we carried you, we carried you. The guidebook warned us not to come. The dark is deep, and listen, I don't wanna make you nervous, but I saw a shadow cross the moon. Just for a moment, but I could have sworn it. No, never mind. This is not of human design. This is not of human design. This is not of human design. I heard a howling in the dark, like a dozen stray dogs being eaten by a much bigger stray dog. The taste of metal on my tongue. I saw a shadow cross the blood red moon. This is not of human design.
This is not of human design. This is not of human design. Oh, well, can you call it a nightmare if it outlasts the night? There's something moving around out there, just beyond the tree line. I can see it all. It's been 7 steps behind me this whole time. Alright, the smell of syrup on the breeze, a hooded figure come to harvest all the wheat she sowed last year. And I am staked just like a scarecrow into the ground. And I can't even move my eyes. I can't even move my eyes. She is climbing up the hill to me. This is not of human design. This is not of human design. This is not of human design. We walked up into the field. We crawled up out of the ocean. Vast machines with crowded up gears, volcanic granite buzzing with motion. We walked up into the field. We carried you low in our bellies. Sometimes a day seems to tick on for years. Sometimes the sun sets a little bit early. We walked up into the field. We gathered around and around and around. Some places are graves that just haven't been dug yet. Some places are churches that haven't been found. We walked up into the field. We carried you high on our shoulders. Some plots are reserved from the beginning of time. Some feel a little bit old. Centurions guarding the cross, and of course we are all galaxies with spiraling arms. But some people are a little bit bigger. I've tried so hard not to finish this song, but here we are, 8 bars to go. It's done. I don't know.
I remember asking him over one of the few joints we shared, and quite soon before his death actually, how he dealt with his dad dying when he'd been 17. And he said nothing for a long time. And then he said, dunno, just did. Parents die, Matt. That's what they do. That's what they've always done. I don't know. I guess I expected more. In fact, I could see that there was more, but he wasn't up for sharing. I think he was like me in a lot of ways. When something big and scary charges straight at you, you do not face it down. You sidestep it like a matador. Let it tumble hoof over horns into the deep maze-like vault that extends like tendrils of anthills for hundreds of miles beneath the surface. You trap the monsters behind that thick iron door and you slam it closed. That's how I am. That's who I am by default. I learned it from him, I suppose. The Narcissist Cookbook is an attempt to counterbalance that impulse. It's a reminder not to lock the scary things away, whether they're bulls or ghosts or dragons. We don't run from these things here. We don't dance around them. Ideally, we don't even fight them. We just see them, look directly at them, and try to understand them.
I've been digging through the sand, filling my bucket up with things that might be gold. And the skin on both my hands is rubbing raw, and the numbness is the only thing between me and the cold. But I ain't going home until I find something worthy of you. Washed up on the shore from somewhere out among the blue. I ain't lonely. Got the beachcomber blues. I got the beachcomber blues.
Sometimes I swear I can hear the bull, confused and frightened, raking its hooves in the dark. I need to go down there eventually, I know I do. The song's almost finished.
Yeah, I've been digging through the sand, keeping my eyes out for a shine among the stones.
Just one more go round.
The clouds are turning black, and I don't need to be a sailor
I think.
to know how hard the west wind blows. But I ain't going home until I find something perfect for you.
Just one more.
Worthy isn't good enough, only the best will do. I ain't lonely. I got the beachcomber blues. I got the beachcomber blues. I got the beachcomber blues. when the days get shorter and the sky begins to pale. When the winds are howling down the high-wall cobbled lane, I write my name in the sycamore leaves and sign it with a kiss. I'm coming home soon. The blue moon after next. When the night is hollow and shadows crowd the lawn, when the doors are bolted and the curtains are all drawn, you hear my voice in the creaking floorboards and hold your troubled head. I'm coming home soon. The blue moon after next. I am the thing that stands outside your bedroom door and whispers through the keyhole. The hand that knocks, the face you pretend you can't see outside the upstairs window. If I am not welcome, you can tell me. I'll disappear like mist. I'm coming home soon. I'm coming home soon. The blue moon after next. We awoke from our dream, hauled ourselves out of the ocean, a rolling thunder of ancient machines, volcanic granite buzzing with motion. And we crawled up through the fields, we carried you low in our bellies. Sometimes a day seems to tick on for years. Somehow the sun still sets a little bit early. Letting you go. We are letting you go. Letting you go. We are letting you go. We stood upright on our haunches. We gathered around and we danced in the mud. Crowing, cackling, nightmarish beasts, baked in heat, thirsty for blood. And the people of this world, they have no words to describe us. And we present you to the infinite sky. We carry you high on our shoulders, letting you go. We are letting you go. Letting you go. Yes, we are letting you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this vessel. Please listen very carefully to the following safety announcement.
I know I'm not going to be doing myself any favors with this comparison, but Leonard Cohen wrote 80 verses to Hallelujah before he settled on the final 5. Sometimes the results of our labor justify the lengths that we go to get there. This is not one of those times. I am so tired of this song cluttering up the work table in my mind, but I am not yet ready for it to be gone. It was meant to be for my dad, in case that wasn't obvious. And that's how the problem began. Ever eager as I am to fling every egg I can find into the closest basket I have to hand, I decided that this song was the song, capital T, capital S, that it would be where I digest all of those undesirable emotions all at once. And it felt healthy, even at the time, to have somewhere to put them, somewhere they could be heard together and ring-fenced. And I dove into that process like I always do, smug and confident that I would be able to hold my breath and reach the bottom and bring something beautiful back to show everyone, and then it would be done and I wouldn't have to think about this anymore and I wouldn't have to feel like this anymore. But it's been 2 years now and I don't feel like I have come up for air once since the first demo, which was written and recorded on my phone the morning before the funeral, and I was rewriting it in my head less than 2 hours later during the funeral service. There is a theory for this, or a term rather. It's called dissociation. It's a coping mechanism. It's something that we do when we can't bring ourselves to look directly at the monster barreling out of the dark towards us. Here's another theory, actually. If emotions can be boiled down to electrical signals bouncing around in the brain, then it follows that they are a part of the natural world and therefore have to obey the same laws as the natural world. And the first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. And I barely fucking cried when my father died. Where are all of those emotions? If they have not been destroyed, then where have they gone? Receiver of Wreck is not just a song, I think. It's an external hard drive for the feelings that I can't bear to have close to me. And it will be effective for as long as I keep working on it, I believe. As long as I keep coming back every few months to push my grief another metaphor deep, until eventually even I start to forget what I walked up into the field that January morning to bury. This is something I have to decide. I can write and rewrite and rewrite. But the song is never going to feel complete. And one day I'm just going to have to stop. But even then, I can't just put my guitar down and walk away. I'm in far too deep for that. I don't think I get to feel like it's done, truly, until this song and everything locked inside it has been released. And maybe then, maybe I can start the actual process of gathering up those emotions and finding a place for them. In me this time. Where they belong.
Six months after you died, I dreamt that I saw you standing down at the end of the old Lamlash Pier, staring out at the water. You didn't know I was there. I stood and I watched you, tried to stay as still as I could, fought the urge to run up and hug you, letting it go, letting it go. Letting it go, letting it go. I felt myself waking up, so I panicked and yelled out, am I ever gonna see you again? You said no, probably not. And I woke up feeling mad, mad at you for the answer, mad at me for projecting so much weight onto a dream of my father. Letting it go, I am letting it go, letting it go, I'm letting it go, letting it go.